Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
And welcome to another great episode of Foxborough Central. I am Bob Hickey, your host, and I'm so glad you took a little bit of time to join me and my guest as we talk about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough the gem of Norfolk County. And today, of course, we are going to have a special election coverage issue of Foxborough Central. My guest today is a candidate for Board of Selectmen, David Feldman. David, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Bob. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you took the time to join us and share a little bit of why you're running for the Board of Selectmen now. As we know, and folks at home know, this program is all about information. So this is your program, and what I'd like to do is just give you some time to run a little bit, and then we'll ask some questions, and then we'll run a little bit some more, okay?
Sounds good.
So if we are at debate night and you're giving your opening 5-minute spiel, doesn't have to be 5 minutes, by the way, why are you running for selectman?
Well, I'm running for the main reason is the residents of this town have to stand up, okay? They have to stand up and be counted. Over the last 2 years, there have been 23 seats up for re-election and only 3 contested races. 2 last year and the one I'm in this year. And I think it's important that residents get involved. There's 3 things you can do, Bob. You can ignore it, you can complain about it, or you can stand up and do something about it. And I'm standing up to be counted.
Okay, very good. Well, speaking as a former member of the Board of Selectmen, in fact, the seat you're running for is my old legacy seat, which I first walked into in 2002 and then got kicked out of in 2008. So, good luck on that.
Thank you.
The important thing is, as you say, is involvement and community involvement. And selectmen people, I hope, understand, but it doesn't hurt to repeat it again. It's a volunteer opportunity. People in this town who run for office are volunteering of their time and skill set and their interest level. And so sometimes elections are predicated upon issues and events. Last couple elections for the Board of Selectmen, there were some hot button topics, as we know. Route 1 development, particularly going along the direction of the casino, but also with things happening with signage and revenue to be geared towards a regional sewer wastewater agreement.
Right.
There were a lot of I won't call them high volume, that'd be a bad pun, but high profile issues that selectmen maybe did or did not have direct control over, but as a member of the Board of Selectmen, that board has an overreaching say in the direction of all things in Foxborough. So it's a very important position. It's a very important board. How do you feel your, and we'll call it outsider status, shall we? Because probably appropriate.
Right.
But how do you feel that outsider status will support your role in that Board of Selectmen position?
Well, I think it's interesting that you brought up those topics. I have 27 years experience in development, real estate, and construction, so my background plays very well into those topics that you just discussed. But more importantly, Bob, I think it's a new voice. As I mentioned before, there hasn't been a lot of contested races in town, and when people aren't challenged, they tend to become complacent. I think I'm more of a regular guy in the town, new to town politics. I'm going into this with my eyes wide open. I have no illusions of grandeur. I'm not going to change the world. I understand that, but I can bring a different tact to maybe the perception of what's going on with the board right now.
Well, I will say that it's great to go in with your eyes wide open, but I will say that speaking from experience, it's a very worthwhile position, and to this day I can look back with some quiet pride and say, some things that were good did happen, and I had a small hand in it. And that's of course why we all get involved in any volunteer opportunity or even work. We like to have pride of ownership, pride of accomplishment. Right. So let's talk about work first. Tell us about who you are and what you do, and you spoke of 27 years experience. Hit us with it.
Okay. I work for a company called Wingate Healthcare. We're based in Needham. My role with the company is I'm the Vice President of Real Estate. I run 20 skilled nursing facilities, assisted living, and independent living facilities in Massachusetts and the Hudson Valley of New York. It encompasses almost 2 million square feet of space. I also run the development company where in that role I procure the development process. I'm responsible for due diligence, plan creation, permitting, and construction. So the whole gamut of development. I've been with the company for 23 years. Prior to that, I built single-family homes. So my background is multifamily, affordable housing, commercial development, and now concentrating on skilled nursing and senior housing.
Okay, interesting. And you know, as we know, Foxborough has had a period of growth in our Chestnut Green development, and that is nearing, I won't say a plateau, but it's certainly nearing a point where decisions need to be made. So are you familiar with the Chestnut Green development and then the issues up there? What do you make of the current situation? Because it seems as though it's developed nicely, but at the same time, one of the developers had some significant financial issues, and then the usage, the 33% usage for the over 55 housing seems to have morphed a bit, plus the condominium to apartment concept has changed in keeping with market demands, of course, and the planning board has been very involved. But what's your 10,000 foot view on this?
Well, I think we have to be careful when we judge development. That really started in a time where we had an economic downturn, and market conditions change. It's not fluid. Demands change. So I think we have to be flexible when we're talking about development. We have to be really careful about length of time to get projects off the ground. I think we have to be diversified in the development that we're bringing in. I think over in Chestnut Green you have a good diversity of retail and some what you would call town services, like cleaners, and the Rite Aid. I mean the Walgreens
The
over
bank,
there, and the bank.
Yep.
So you have a decent mix that are, you know, I would say are sort of immune to economic downturns. You have some restaurants and some other things. And as far as the housing is concerned, housing it's like senior housing. Assisted living's a need. Independent living's a choice. And the same thing down there. I mean, those are choices that people make. And if they can't sell what they own to move to something new, or they're not comfortable with leaving the rental model to go into a buy-in model, you can't fault them for that. I mean, that's market conditions playing out.
You know, it's interesting also when you talk about the changing landscape. I think that's a reality that everybody needs to accept, that a decision made with best intentions in 1995, 1970s, with a decision not to incorporate a federal funded regional sewer has now long-lasting impacts today, and we're on the cusp of the regional water agreement and funding of that. But had the decision made differently 40 years ago, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Right.
But then we look at Chestnut Green, and you look at the mixed-use development and the fact that they were able to successfully build 200 plus units, and the fact that they do have that the mall and the different types of businesses. That's only possible because they built their own septic system, their own sewering system. And that is what is lacking in Foxborough. And so hopefully with this intermunicipal agreement where Foxborough now becomes an owner, that'll allow the spigot and the flusher to open up and allow for growth in our what's traditionally the downtown area,
Right.
although some would argue that the downtown has sort of moved a little bit north up Main Street to get closer to the old state hospital development.
Right. Well, I think we have to be careful, and we have to come to the realization. Just because you build it doesn't mean they will come. All right. I think we have to meet with the business owners now and the realistically the real estate owners. We have to work with them. We have to work with the community banks, the Small Business Administration, and really reach out to these businesses and say, okay, we're going to build the infrastructure for you. Okay, we're serious about development. Come on in and let's have dialogue and let's see what we can do and partner together to really make this thing happen.
Well, you call yourself a political novice, but it sounds like you have a pretty good handle on what's going on. So along with that, I suppose the next topic will be, to dovetail it in, is the surplus properties that we have, and most notably here in the downtown area, the old fire station and the funeral home that was taken for tax title behind it. What are your thoughts on redevelopment sale?
Well, I think
Sit on them and hold them?
in particular, the fire station is a key asset in the whole downtown area. It sits right on a corner lot. Doesn't have a lot of frontage, however. The frontage is on the side. And when you go to sell an asset, the first thing the developer is going to come in, he's going to do his due diligence, and one of the first things he does is a Phase 1 21E environmental study. Okay, that's going to send up red flags because underground storage tank, I do believe, that had some issues in the past with leaking diesel fuel.
And it was mitigated, but at the same time, you're absolutely correct. That is part of the history of it, yes.
Yep, so there is history. That's going to be fully investigated. I'm sure there's asbestos in the building. So there's going to be some more remediation, depending on what a developer does with it. If he wants to tear it down, you're going to have soil remediation, I'm sure. They're going to have to put in testing wells if they're not monitoring wells there now. So we need to look at that through a clear lens and say, are we better off holding on to it? Are we better off doing the full remediation and selling a clean building? Or do we just let it sit? I think we need to be careful when we let buildings sit because there's still a cost to maintaining an empty building. Yep. And that's a hidden cost that a lot of people don't realize. Oh, it's empty, we don't have to maintain it. Well, that's not true. That's
right, and there's currently storage going on there, but as we all know, you from your experience in construction and from my government experience, a building has to serve a purpose in order to be covered under the town insurance policy, and so the building itself can't just be an empty building. So you're right, it has to serve a purpose. So interesting. I love this type of conversation. So now let's talk about town hall. I don't know if you've heard about it, but we have a town hall. And if you win election, and the town hall will be your home away from home for 3 years. Yep. What are your thoughts on the current town hall situation?
I think we've done study after study. We have competing, I don't want to say competing plans because there's really only one plan that I've seen. It's they've looked at a renovation, they've looked at a replacement. I firmly believe that the town hall should be renovated with an addition to meet the town's need. And if we're going to go through the expense, we should think about future expansion too. I think that's important to build into any type of renovation or addition, because we're welcoming in development. We're going to grow, so there's going to be an increase in needs within town hall. I think it was 3 years ago, I read in the paper that the town hall's condemned. Got to get everybody out of there. Well, I see people still working there, so I don't know how valid that is. I haven't seen all the reports. My guess is we should probably throw away the prior reports, open it up to competitive bidding process. Let's bring in some design teams to do a renovation schematic, B, a replacement schematic. I think the town hall should be exactly where it is. But it's funny because I hear people saying, oh, let's replace it. There isn't a town in the Commonwealth that replaces their town hall. More and more towns do major renovations to the town hall because, let's face it, it's a classic New England building. It's got history there. Everybody knows where it is. It's part of the downtown. And I think we can do a great job with a renovation. Some of the most interesting buildings I've ever seen across the state have been major renovations. And I think it would be a shame to tear it down and build a new Taj Mahal to the town folks.
I love that term, Taj Town Hall.
Taj Mahal.
Where did that ever come from? Mansfield Town Hall is a very good example of how they took an existing building, expanded it, and made it usable, modern, and yet kept that historical flair.
One of the nicest town hall renovations I've seen is the town of Needham. They did a super job. It has all its historic character. They expanded it a little bit. They made it ADA compliant. It's really nice. It fits in with the downtown. You walk in, it brings you back to yesteryear, but it has all of today's modern improvements. So I think they did a super job. The town of Newton, the same thing. They renovated their town hall. They put a huge addition on because their growth just exploded. They needed to do it. Mm-hmm. But you would never know going to town hall that they have a big addition on it. It just looks like it's always belonged. And I think that's important. We want to maintain our small town bedroom community look and feel, and I think town hall is a big part of that.
Well, and with the incoming town manager, William Keegan, coming from Dedham, now is a brand new opportunity to write a new chapter and perhaps maybe even put the old book on the shelf and start a new book. And it sounds like you have some experience and some thoughts that might be a different attitude, different ideas. So look forward to seeing how that one plays out. So, of course, I'm speaking with David Feldman, who's a candidate for a 3-year term for Board of Selectmen. And I know you'll come out to vote this 2014 election, which is going to introduce us not only to David Feldman, but also to his family. Why don't we take a little bit of time? And before we do that, for those of you at home who would like to learn more about David, not only can you always look us up at fcatv.org and click on the Foxborough Central link to find this program as well as all the other great ones, but you can also look David up on Facebook. I have no way of knowing how to get a hold of you on Facebook. How would I do it?
Just go to David Feldman. You get onto my personal Facebook page, which you can say hello to as well. And then there's a link for Elect David Feldman for Selectmen, a community page that they can tie into.
If I was on Facebook, I would do just that, but if not, I'll just do it in my mind. Of course, I can look you up on the web. You also have a website. It is electdavidfeldman.com.
Correct.
Which, and as I was chuckling earlier, there's no other David Feldmans in the entire world that want to run for election. So you are unique.
Not for selectmen. So, yeah. You can go to my website. You can find more about my background. You can find out why I'm running. And there's a link in there that is tied to my Facebook page, my email account, and also where I'm going to be. If you want to come up, say hello, complain, whatever. we take all questions.
I would have no idea where the complaints would come from, but you mentioned email, and of course folks can email you with questions, thoughts, support to dfeldman424@gmail.com. That's DFELDMAN. The number's 424 @gmail.com.
Correct.
See, I'm the host. I get this stuff down good. Let's talk about family. First of all, have you told them yet that you're running?
Oh yeah.
Are they letting you back in the house?
Yeah.
Okay then. Well.
Yeah, I've actually been able to sleep inside.
There you go. And
the whole time.
I know that your son is supportive. He was recruiting some of his friends to hold signs for you. So let's talk about family.
Yeah. Well, I think it's you talk about kids and holding signs, and I think it's hands-on education for them. They hear about the democratic process in school, and if nothing else, this gives them a hands-on approach to what the democratic process is all about. So, they're there and they're kind of goofing around and hanging out with their friends, which is fine. But when they talk about in school, it's going to click. Hey, I was on the Common, holding signs for a political candidate. It's kind of cool, They don't appreciate it now. I mean, my 10-year-old daughter was waving and singing songs, and it was really funny. But she got the most thumbs up and waves, and it was unbelievable. They can care less about me. they were just watching her. So, but it was a good learning experience for them, and myself as well too.
Well, I'll tell you what, our boys are in the same grade, but my daughter, you never know when what you're going to do is going to make an impact, and she's now a freshman in college and a political science major. And I like to think that some of the things that we did back in the day, my wife and I are volunteers with the JCs and with the work in the community. Both of us do our different things. Here at Foxborough Cable Access.
Yep.
I like to see some of that play forward. So I'm sure this will be a good experience. You never know what's gonna catch with the kids.
I'm sure that planted a seed a long time ago, but it was suppressed. She wouldn't admit it. It was suppressed. So I'm sure what you did was well received by her.
Well, do you want to give a shout out to your family now?
Yeah, sure. I've been a resident of Foxborough for over 20 years.
Okay.
Been married to Ellen, formerly Callahan, now Ellen Feldman, a lifelong resident. We have 4 children, Parker, who's 16, Cameron, who's 15, Madison, who's 12, and who's going to be 13 in a few days, and Peyton, who just turned 10. All in the Foxborough schools, all involved in sports and activities. So my wife and I are very busy, really taxi drivers. So it's a lot to do getting them from point A to point B, but Ellen does a great job doing it. I don't know how she does it, but she does it.
Well, she's a wonderful person, of course. You know, and by the way, not knowing when you're watching this, but happy birthday. So there you go. The pieces of the puzzle that make for a good selectman include that community involvement. So, and I know you mentioned the taxi service, and I do see Ellen at many places, and I umpire in town. I see Parker on the field. So let's talk a little bit about your volunteerism and organizations that your family have been involved with.
Right. So I've been involved in Foxborough youth baseball and softball for this is my 10th year. I started out with the instructional league with the boys, and have taken them right up through the majors. Babe Ruth, seen you on the field coaching. Never got into an argument, because that's not my style.
And I'm always right. Maybe not. At least in my mind, I'm always right.
Although I still haven't forgiven you for stopping the game for watching the fireworks, but that's okay.
That was a night. And then we ended up playing, and then they come up with a big crescendo at the end. We have to stop again. Yeah. That game took forever.
Yeah, the joys of pacing.
Yeah, you got to love pace and feel.
Yep. But no, I really enjoy coaching. I played baseball in college, so it's really in my blood. And whatever I can help the kids, you know, in mechanics and the proper techniques and the right way to play the game, I think that's really important. Baseball it's a dying sport. You know, more and more kids are moving to lacrosse. You know, had I had lacrosse when I was growing up, I probably would have played lacrosse, but I stuck with baseball, and now with my boys in high school, I've moved on to softball.
There you
go. So there's only been a couple of Tom Hanks moments from A League of Their Own where it just but the 10-year-old girls, that you know, they're great. They're great.
Please tell me you've never had to say there's no crying in baseball.
No. I've almost, but I've never said that. But they're great. They want to learn, they want to play, and they want to get better. And it's really great to see from where they start in the beginning of the season to where they end, right through summer ball, and then you see them growing up. It's really fulfilling.
Well, you know, let's talk about signage and let's talk about campaigns. So you have a group of supporters, I'm sure, right. Some friends. How have you found the response so far on the campaign trail?
I think the response has been really good. You know, people are tough to gauge. They're either overwhelming with support. A lot of people, even though they know Ellen, they really don't know me. They don't know what I do. I've always been kind of in the background. I'm not gregarious. I'm not the life of the party. I'm more reserved. But I think as people meet me and they understand, you know, what I do for a living and my vision for the town going forward, I think more and more people are coming around. And I think that if they vote, we could be successful. You know, there's 11,000 registered voters in the town of Foxborough, and typically only about 2,000 to 2,500 vote.
You hover around that 25% mark.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's why it's easy for people to get reelected. There's not a lot of engagement. There has to be engagement. People have to come out and vote if they want to see change, and if they don't, well, that's okay too. You know, you can't force people to go out and vote. You want to engage people and make them want to come out and vote, and I think that's important.
And with that, a big piece of a positive campaign is getting out the vote. So, folks at home, if you support my guest, David Feldman, who's running for a 3-year term on the Board of Selectmen, we only have 1 minute left. I'm going to give you the last word. I'm going to run through your good stuff here. You can reach out to David on his Facebook page, reach out to David Feldman, or you can check him out on the web at electdavidfeldman.com, spelled out just the way I said it. Or you can email him directly at dfeldman424@gmail.com. Graphics appear on your screen. You can always look us back up at fcatv.org to get this information again. David, it's been a pleasure having the chance to sit down for half an hour. It's flown by like nothing. If you had one final thing, speak directly to the voters, it's all yours.
I think one of the most important things I've learned in business is you have to be a really good listener. That's a major key to success. Being elected to an office is not about the individual, but about the community that you serve. So on May 5th, I hope you come out, vote. I hope to win your support and earn your trust.
Couldn't have said it better. It's been a pleasure having my guest, David Feldman. David, thank you so much for
taking the time.
Thank you for having me. And for all of you at home, I do hope you'll take his words to heart. Come out and vote on May 5th at the Ahern Middle School. Polls open early and they stay open late. We will also be joining you with live election coverage on election night from the Ahern Gymnasium as we wait for the election count. So watch us now, watch all of our other exciting election program, and we'll see you right back here in this station, May 5th. Until then, Foxborough, have a great election season. Take care.